Commissioner, Mr. President, I rise again, I'm afraid, to make the same old hoary speech that I have been making here for several years, and that is, it is my opinion that you do not really understand the concept of banking. All the banks are broke. Bank Santander, Deutsche Bank, Royal Bank of Scotland, they are all broke. And why are they broke? It isn't an act of God. It isn't some sort of tsunami. They are broke because we have a system called fractional reserve banking, which means that banks can lend money that they do not actually have. It is a criminal scandal and it has been going on for too long. To add to that problem, you have moral hazard, a very significant moral hazard from the political sphere. And most of the problem starts in politics and central banks, which are part of the same political system. We have counterfeiting, sometimes called quantitative easing, but counterfeiting by any other name. The artificial printing of money, which if any ordinary person did, they would go to prison for a very long time. And yet governments and central banks do it all the time. Central banks repress the amount of interest that rates are, so we do not have the real cost of money. And yet we blame the real retail banks for manipulating LIBOR. The sheer effrontery of this is quite astonishing. It is central banks that manipulate interest rates, Commissioner. And plus, underneath all this, we talk loosely, in a rather cavalier fashion, do we not, about deposit guarantees. So when banks go broke through their own incompetence and chicanery, the taxpayer picks up the tab. It is theft from the taxpayer. And until we start sending bankers, and I include central bankers and politicians, to prison for this outrage, it will continue.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher, and guys, please like and subscribe. If you do like what you're listening to, please inform your friends and family and spread on social media. It is imperative that we get back to learning finances and understand how the world really works. Because once we understand how the world really works, we understand that everything is planned out. Now, guys, basically yesterday we see that the Fed admitted that they're buying, bonds for 86 companies, which of course is driving these companies' stock price up. But we're going to get into Bitcoin first. As we saw the stock market go up, we saw cryptos go up. So the fact is, guys, we know that the Fed is controlling all of it. It's all controlled by the Fed. So the fact is that we see Bitcoin go up, all the rest of the cryptos go up. And the fact is that the same thing, if you look at the stock market, certain stocks, when you see those stocks go up, the rest of the stocks go up. So, guys, make sure that we are digging in on these 86 companies that they're buying, because we know what? Their stocks are going to go up. If you read my NWO book, I already tell you that the corporations are going to be the new government. That's what's going to happen. And you clearly see that the Fed is buying. They're buying these 86 companies because they're going to own these 86 companies. Don't think because, okay, they're just investing in these companies so the stock go up. No, they're doing this because they're going to own these companies. The Fed, 85% of the stock market is owned by the top 10%. Think about that, guys. The only people that are really buying stock right now are a small group of traders, and then, of course, you have the Fed, the governments, and then, of course, you have a small portion pensions and 401ks. But the rest of it has been the Fed over the last 8 years. So I just need for you to understand that. 85% of the stock market is owned by the top 10%. So, guys, it's held by them. So they make it go up, they make it go down. Free markets are out the window. So we had Berkshire Hathaway, Apple, AT&T, Pfizer, Microsoft. Guys, dig in these companies and invest in them, because you know the stock is going to go up. You know it. If they're sitting here taking this repo money and they're not allowing us to see how much they're putting in, but they said 450, so if they said like 450, we know it's probably about 2 trillion. So we know they're not going to give us the real figures. But guys, just make sure that we're understanding that the game is definitely rigged. And right now it's so bad with all the distractions that they have going on. Not too many people are going to talk about this unless you are on the same frequency as someone talking about finances. That's why I say make sure you're getting this message out. Because majority of people are doing what? Getting off work, going home, watching regular TV, gossip, social media. They're not worried about what's going on right now. They're moving this plan fast forward. And in my book, just like I stated, I explained to you that all this is about is bringing this one group of corporations together, which will be ran by China, of course, and then we're going to move over to blockchain and cryptos. All this is part of the plan. And just like I stated with population, like I said, I'm going to do a video on population. Our population is going to drop from 350 million down to 250 million in 5 years. 5 years, guys, 250 million only inside the United States. You see all the restrictions going on with travel. You see visas being taken away by Trump. All this is on purpose to stop the migration inside the United States. It's going to be like it used to be, this island, and they're going to try to turn it into a casino where everything is, of course, gambling and your virtual reality, but of course you're going to have less travel. But just getting over into a little crypto news, we had the Chinese Bitcoin mining company eBay launch an offshore exchange. So guys, we know that China is going to be the next empire. That's what's going to be the next empire. Now, we also have to make sure we're looking at next month in July. Now, they may push it back to August, which we see a lot of upgrades, but Ether 2.0 is very, very important, because if you look at Whale Alert, we're starting to see big moves as far as what Ether is concerned, Ethereum. So the fact is, guys, we have to make sure that we're looking at Ethereum very, very carefully, because basically in July, that's going to be the move, and then of course, that may be the catalyst to start the bull market. Like I stated, basically the bull market, I was looking at September, end of September, beginning of fall. But we have to make sure that we are looking at Ethereum and see whether that's going to start off the bull market. Well, the fact is that we just slowly start going up. Now, of course, right now, the only thing we're doing is creating higher lows. But we may see that slow tick up. And then, of course, September, fall is boom. That's when they start doing the Bitcoin ETFs and we start heading to the moon. But guys, that's all I have for you. Don't forget about the books, Cryptoteacher and WO book. I want to thank those who donated to the Cash App, Patreon. Much love. Keep it coming. Also, basically, don't forget about the cryptos, Coinbase, Bitrue, Binance, the stocks. You have your Cobalt, your chip stocks, your banking, your gaming. Also, everybody's sitting at home. Don't forget about those stocks. You also have, of course, the C word, the biotech stocks. Make sure you dig in and invest in those stocks. Those stocks are going up and down. The penny stocks are even making plenty of money on those. And guys, don't forget about everybody sitting at home getting a free check. What are they doing? Drinking, smoking weed. Don't forget about those stocks. Y'all have a wonderful day.